Good morning, New Vision Center. My name is Reverend Leslie. I'm your associate minister. We're sending love to Reverend Karen and fam in Germany. Let her know we're all okay. She can relax, right? Yeah. Right. And I want to welcome everyone, and especially those who are new or newer. Thank you for standing. We do so love to cheer for people. Thank you those who stood online, and we also want to reach out with a loving awareness that if you chose not to stand, we recognize you in that place where we are all one, and you too are welcome. And maybe one of these days you'll let us know who you are. That will be delightful. So with our beloved Reverend Karen on a family vacation, I get to do 3 talks in a row. I know. What a fun game to play. And so I thought I should make this really easy on myself, right? We like that. So we're doing a 3-talk series on one of my favorite books of all time, Mark Nepo, 7,000 Ways to Listen. Now, if you don't know this book, are you in for a treat? Because this is a book that is essays and poetry and meditations from one of the most beautiful writers of our time, that he wrote upon going deaf. He wrote a book on listening after realizing he was going deaf and realizing how many things he didn't hear when he took listening for granted, and all the different ways we can listen and be present in our life. So wonderful things about this book and this 3-talk series is it is truly for everyone. If you are a fan of Mark Nepo, are you going to have a great 3 weeks? If you have never heard of Mark Nepo, do you ever wish you could go back and read your favorite book for the first time? You get to do that right now. It's so fun. If you are deeply spiritual and deeply anchored in the life of spirituality and practice, these serves as beautiful, inspiring reminders. And if you are not quite sure where you stand on that path, if you are atheist or agnostic, if you're just not certain where you are in this whole big mix of things that can be spirituality and self-help and self-care, everything in that book works for you too. And I just love, to me, that's a form of radical inclusivity, that no matter where we're at, there's something delicious for us here. So this first message of 3 that I'm going to give is called Instructions from Within. And it occurs to me that life in the desert is really different than life in the Midwest. So I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Iowa. And there's a very natural rhythm to life in farmland, right? Everything is about the seasons. Everything is about the busy time is when the crops are growing and everybody's out and the days are long and the days are hot and you're doing barbecues and baseball games and hanging out with the family outside and a lot of lawn mowing. There's a lot of lawn mowing in the Midwest. And summer is social time, busy time, active time. And then in the winter, when the snow comes and the gray comes, that's kind of the natural introspective time. And I came up through my teens and my 20s and into my 30s through earth-based traditions, through paganism, and through exploring some of those more indigenous ways of exploring spirituality. And I found that truly that rhythm, it's the same rhythm, right? We're taught, there's the waxing period of the year where you're getting more active, and there's the waning period of the year where you're encouraged to be introspective. And when I was in Iowa, that made such beautiful and perfect sense, because the way the years are set up in those traditions tends to align with England, because they published the most books. It's true. And the seasons are very similar. If you're in Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Nebraska, the active busy times are the active busy times, and the quiet times are the winter times. And then I picked up my family and I moved to the middle of the desert, where in the summer it's so hot. Our seasons are flipped. When we are encouraged by the natural state of the world to be out and social and active and busy and playing and partying. It's the winter time. And then summer comes, and I find myself wanting to really cocoon and go within and spend my quiet time. It's a natural time of introspection I find here in the desert. Does anybody else feel that experience where it just becomes a quieting time? The first couple of years I lived here, I had a challenging experience because I was following my traditional history of being really busy in the summer, and then the natural proclivity of Phoenix, which is to be really busy in the winter. And I went about 3 years without ever giving myself that serious, quiet down time. And my friends, this did not go so well. Reverend Leslie gets squirrely if she doesn't get her quiet time. Reverend Leslie's a little squirrely anyway, so we really need her to have her quiet time. And over time, I've learned we physically, emotionally, spiritually, and intellectually need introspection time. We need it. And so when I was reading through this beautiful book, a whole smoking about that many pages into it, we come upon an essay called Instructing from Within. And I was thinking about it from this perspective of the spiritual paths we're walking. Every path leads home, right? Every path leads back into the center of who we truly are. And we're discussing all of these path options that we can play with. And these are just, the ones Karen and I thought of one day in the office. There are infinite more. You can put in your favorites. But today we're really going to focus in on these two, communion and personal responsibility. So communion, we're talking about conscious union with the one. Really going within and trusting that that which we find at the center of ourselves is that infinite oneness, that the path to touch in with all that is good is right through the center of our own being. And then there's personal responsibility, because this is not new news, is it? I mean, if today is the first time you ever heard that the place to contact infinite spirit is inside of you, raise your hand. That's what I thought. We all know this. We all know this. And I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand on this one, but sometimes some of us are not as good at choosing to do our spiritual practice every single day. I mean, no one here, right? None of us. But people in the world. Right? So, what can our friend Mark Nepo share with us about how to take our instructions from within, how to remember that this is easy, how to remember that we already know how to do this, and that the only thing in our way is that we think something is in our way. Are we on board? Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is listening within. So if we're going to take our instructions from within, and this whole book is about listening, and we're going to listen from within, what are we listening to? We say this all the time. We listen within to the still small center, the heart of our being, right? It's such pretty words. The altar of the Most High indwelling. I mean, I love that phrase. And it is a little fluffy, right? I mean, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm a weird cult lady just saying crazy words. And I mean, it's okay. You can laugh. That's funny. What is this thing that we're listening to? When we allow ourselves to be quiet, not silent necessarily, but quiet, when we sit in the open space where we're not trying to figure something out, we're not trying to get the answer to a question, we're not trying to accomplish anything, and we just let ourselves be quiet, a doorway opens on the inside of ourselves that leads to a deeper dimension of who we already are. Now, that part of us is always there, and it is always talking. But it's kind of like a toddler in the back seat. Mom, mom, mama, mom, mama, mother, mommy, mom, 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 mom. Ever been there? We tune it out. We turn up the radio so we don't hear it. We keep ourselves busy so we don't hear it. But always in that quiet space within us is a running dialogue of what is for our highest and best. Why don't we listen? Sometimes it's because we're afraid of what we'll hear. Because when we hear it, what do we have to do? Follow it is the ideal. And sometimes we don't want to hear that we're ready to leave a relationship or change a work condition or try this scary thing. Sometimes we don't want to hear that we're being called deeper into a practice that already feels like it's taking up too much of our time. Sometimes we don't want to hear the nudge that this isn't the right medical choice, or this isn't the right financial choice, or this isn't the right career choice. Sometimes we don't want to have to feel like we need to make a change. Sometimes we just don't want to. The thing is, that voice always leads us rightly. And we can all go ahead and make very disgruntled faces about that. Because sometimes we don't want to listen, but it does always lead us rightly. So what does that mean? What does rightly mean? It means that when we head in the direction of what the voice inside ourselves, which I would say is the still small voice of spirit, but somebody else might say it's your highest wisdom self. Somebody else might call it your intuition, your instinct, your animal truth. It doesn't really matter what we call it. What matters is just the recognition that when we follow it, things work out. Now, does that mean if we don't follow it, things will always not work out? Not necessarily. The world is full of possibilities. We keep saying it's infinite possibilities. There's a lot of right ways to do this thing. But the one that best fits our individual soul experience is always going to come from that inside space. So Mark says this in the book. He says, it seems that intuitive listening requires us to still our minds until the beauty of things older than our minds can find us. There is a melody, a harmony at the center of who we are, every single one of us, at the center of this experience that we call life, that is older, deeper, wiser than any of our individual personalities, any of our bodies of experience so far in this life. And it's right there for us. It's right there. But it requires a willingness to be quiet enough that we can hear it. Now, is the still small voice within the only place we can listen to that wisdom? Conveniently, no. Isn't that nice? Because sometimes it's hard, right? Where else can we find it? We find it anytime we quiet ourselves enough to pay attention to that which we usually don't see or hear. Nature, children, the way the grass blows in the wind. A group of friends from all the way across campus discussing joyfully how they're going to make a video about painting a wall. We see things, and they're continually inviting us in to notice the message. Sometimes people ask me, Reverend Leslie, do you think God is sending me signs, hints about what to do? And I tend to be no. I don't think God is giving us lessons. I don't think Spirit is testing us. And I don't think there's like a secret sign that if you don't see the sign, you cannot do the thing and you must see the sign. I really don't. But what I do think is that we can find synchronicities and messages in anything we notice, because we will see what is ours to see. So there is this lovely little reading in here that, I'm going to read it from here, that just illustrated this idea really nicely for me. It's called The Appointment, and it's in this book. He writes, "What if on the first sunny day on your way to work, a colorful bird sweeps in front of you down a street you've never heard of? You might pause and smile, a sweet beginning to your day. Or you might step into that street and realize there are many ways to work. You might sense the bird knows something you don't and wander after. You might hesitate when the bird turns down an alley, for now there is a tension. Is what the bird knows worth being late? You might go another block or two, thinking you can have it both ways, but soon you arrive at the edge of all your plans. The bird circles back for you, and you must decide which appointment you were born to keep." Sometimes we have to let ourselves out of the schedule. We can't always follow the bird. But what a joy if we let ourselves do it sometimes. What do we find on that walk that's different than the way we would normally go? What friends do we make? What adventures do we have? What discoveries show up for us? We can never know if we don't let ourselves follow the bird. So why is this hard? Mark says that the mind is a hungry tiger. The mind is a hungry tiger, and it is restless. It wants us busy. It wants us achieving, acting, thinking, going, doing, making, having, fixing, cleaning, dancing, getting accolades, showing up. It wants hairs curled and eyelashes on. Or whatever your version of that is. It wants us going, and it is hungry. It pushes us. We feel it on the inside of us, right? It's that drive to go. But when we're in the go mode, we can't be in the listening mode and the go mode at the same time. So we need balance. But how balanced is the typical hungry tiger? Do you know a hungry tiger that is rational and likes to be spoken nicely to? Because my hungry tiger is like, I'm on deadline. Must be done. I think most of our hungry tigers are like that. When we try to force ourselves out of hungry tiger mode, that can start to feel like laziness. It can feel like we're disconnected, like we're not engaged. I've had people say, and I think I've probably said, I wonder if I'm a little depressed because I don't feel that urge to push, to push, to push. And it's only been in the last few years that I've learned to honor that inner rhythm that needs the ebb to create the flow. Sometimes my hungry tiger he just gets a steak and a nap. It's important that we let ourselves have that. We think, with our hungry tiger mind, we think we need more information, more instruction, more systems, more methods, more action, more money, more house, more attention, more whatever, right? And there's nothing in the world wrong with more. There's something wrong with only more. Because when it's only about more, we never really celebrate or appreciate any of it that comes along the way. It's just it's an avalanche. It's like trying to drink out of a fire hose. We don't catch any of it. None of it lands. The truth is, we don't need more information. Don't tell the people who pay me. We don't. We know the basics, right? We've all read the books. We've done all the classes. We know what we need to know. What we need is more openness, more allowing for everything that we already know to show up in our life in real time. And what does that require? Quiet. It requires the silence of meditation. It requires the quiet of listening. It requires the quiet of the grasp. Do you guys know the grasp? That, I love the phrase, the white-knuckled grip on what we think it should be. I invite you to just do this with your hands. Just squeeze it so tight. And then we're going to exhale as we release our hands. And just feel the slow release of your hands. You see how long it takes for your hands to actually feel like they're relaxed after we've done that? It takes time. It takes time for us to allow ourselves to wind down and open up on the soul level, on the cellular level, so that what we already know can come up gently, like a little bubble from the inside of ourselves, and pop up with, this is what is mine to know today. Whether we learn it from a bird, or from the inside of ourselves, or from a book, or from a friend. Silence and solitude give us the space to find our truth. But here's the thing. Once we remember to do it, it's not hard. And it's not hard because the truth is, we've always known how to do this. It's built into us. Just like a cat knows how to get that real good stretch. You know the one where they get their claw into the carpet and they're backing their tail up further and further and doing the wiggle? Nobody teaches a cat how to do that. They know how to do that. We know how to listen on the inside of ourselves. We know how to listen on the outside of ourselves. It's part of who we are. We just have to remember that we know and value it enough that we make space for it. I think of it like flowers. Think of a seed, a flower seed, a wildflower seed. Somebody got in one of those cute cards that have the flower seeds built into the paper and chucked it out into their yard, and a year later, everybody's forgotten about it, but somewhere in the wood shavings in a corner of somebody's yard is a little seed buried and forgotten. And it is pushing its roots in the dark into a place where it doesn't know where, and it can feel the warmth of something, and it is pushing little leaves up towards that warmth that it can't see, because that's what flowers do. They don't have a choice. We think it's hard because we have a choice. We can choose to send our roots down into the truth of our soul and reach our listening leaves up into the sky. And we can choose not to. In any given day, in any given minute, we are at choice. But we are just as programmed to find and express our truth as every flower, as every bird. It is in our soul to want to know who we are, to reach down through our roots into infinitude of depth, into ancient history and distant future. And it is in us to spread our branches wide and feel the breeze and see everything and hear all of the goodness. It's natural to us. Mark said it like this: no one can teach how to intuitively listen or trust, but the quiet courage to say yes rather than no is close to each of us. It involves holding our opinions and identity lightly so we can be touched by the future. It means loosening our fist-like hold on how we see the world so that other views can reach us, expand us, deepen us, and rearrange us. Being in the listening place, both inside and without, helps us find and remember our truth. It allows us to consider new possibilities. It allows us to become new possibilities. And so the invitation this week, and truly the invitation every week, is to listen, to notice, to be curious and expansive without needing to make any of it right or wrong. Just notice and see what you discover. And so it is. And so let us anchor this in with some prayer. How good it is to turn all of our attention to this one infinite reality, this universal mind that is everywhere present. And to remember that it is in, through, and as all sentient beings everywhere. It is all that there is. What I know about myself is that I am that. I'm made of it. It brought me forth and it built me in its likeness and image, and it put all of its goodness into me, every quality, every aspect. And as I know this for myself, I know it's true of everyone within the sound of my voice, that each one of us is an expression of the divine that is whole and complete and perfect exactly as we are. In the place of infinite possibilities, we are already seated with absolute love, complete wholeness, pure abundance, brilliant creativity. That all is well where we are right here, right now, because we are already in the oneness of the oneness. And so as I know this truth, I speak my word for each one of us this day, knowing that there is more than enough of every good thing and that it is pouring forth for each one of us, activating the abundance we already are. That there is peace and loving kindness being called up from the center of each one of us, inspiring us to reach out those listening leaves and to reach into the truth of our own being, to know that the highest God and the innermost God is one God, and that is the voice we hear at the center of our truth. And I'm so grateful to know that good is unfolding for each one of us right in this moment, that whatever we brought into this space on our heart and our mind is already being handled by that one mind that always says yes. So grateful for this truth for each one of us. And so I release this word into the action of universal law, which has already said yes, and is already on the job. Even as we finish this prayer, as we claim it together, we say, and so it is.